Today we have a new lock that's been unearthed and rebuilt on the Swansea Canal. This was once called the Hidden Lock because it had been hidden for so long, buried under a council car park. I'm back on the Swansea Canal. Now I was here around 5 months ago when they were working on the Hidden Lock and at the visitor centre. Now we're here today to meet the WRG groups and the volunteers from the Swansea Canal Society to see what's happened in that 5 months. Now in front of us is that Hidden Lock, and you can see just here where the channels are split, and this goes off to a slipway on one side and the lock on the other. Let's pop over and see what's going on. If you don't know, the story from my last video was all filled in and covered over, and it was actually a car park here and a yard for the council, and there's various bits and pieces which still show that. It's now been dug all back out, and if you look ahead of me you'll see we have lock gates. Now when I was here last time they were still doing this lock, the contractors were on site and they were still doing a bit of the brickwork in the lock, or the stonework here. So work has continued and finished off on those, and the gates have been lifted in, and it's now looking much more like a lock. These lock gates themselves are the sort of metal ones, the composite locks, and they will last a lot longer than a traditional wooden lock, which helps for this canal because it probably won't be open for a few years. So the problem is with putting the wooden locks in when you're doing these projects is by the time you actually get to the point of opening the canal, they need to be replaced again because they only last about 20 years. So these metal locks have got much longer life, and the money isn't going to waste. They're a little bit more expensive, but they will last for hundreds of years rather than 20 years. And on the other end, you've got the two gates on that end. So you have the two smaller, sort of taller gates, the narrower gates on the bottom, and one bigger, sort of shorter gate on the top, and that's because these are easier to move when you've got this lock full of water. Now what you have here on these gates is you'll have your normal sort of angled wooden bit which will go into there, and it will match the angle on the other one, so when they close up it will seal. So it's not metal to metal for the seal, it's actually still using a wood which will swell and seal with the water. Then on the end of the lock they've got a new bridge going across, and you can see quite well the legato blocks in here, the Lego blocks as most people call them, and that's kind of holding up the bottom end of this. You can see a lot less of them now because of the water is a lot higher in this end of the canal now. It's pretty dry this bit when I was here last, but that's still got another probably foot to go up as well, so most of that is hidden so you don't see it. Plus they dulled down and nowhere near as bright as they were a few months back when I was here last.
My name's Alan Tremlett and I'm a trustee of the Swansea Canal Society. We're here on the Swansea Canal and we're at the Clydach lock in the middle of Clydach, which we previously knew as the buried lock, but over the last 2 or 3 years we've done some extensive work to uncover the lock chamber and redevelop the land that was once a Glamorgan County Council yard. The first phase of the lock renovation saw the creation of a new boat basin and dry dock, which we'll use for boat maintenance in the future. The second stage of the work recreated 120 metres of canal, which had also been lost at the time the council yard was created. That is now complete. Third and most significant phase of the work has been to uncover the original lock chamber, which was buried in the mid-70s. As we dug into the ground, the top of the lock was seen to be quite damaged, but fortunately as we dug deeper, the walls were quite intact and only needed some minor rework on the blocks and repointing of the chamber. The damage seemed to have been caused when the services put in by the council for the yard damaged some of the stone underneath. All this work has been made possible by funding from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, and with the generous help of Swansea Council we've been able to carry out all of this work, which is nearing completion now with the installation of the gates, which took place just 2 weeks ago.
And look, we're in the top of the lock now. This is the gate again, which I can't really show you too well on this camera because it's too big. But that's all in ready. You've got, this is where it swings on, look. So what you have on the gate is you have like a little pin in the bottom down here, which goes into sort of concrete or stone back in the day. And then you've got this bit here, which is kind of, you can see it's on bolts on the end, so you can tighten that and bring that in, and that wraps around here. So that holds that gate in place, and that's how it pivots. It moves on that point there. And then on this side you can see they're just starting to do the paddle gears here. So how these work is you put your windlass on here, you turn that lifts that up and down, which is then connected through there into a paddle in here. That paddle sits in that hole and seals the water from coming down. Then to fill the lock up, you open that up and it goes down through a channel in the bottom there, and it will come out somewhere in the bottom here, which is probably hidden underwater. They vary where they come out. Some come underneath the seal, some come in the sides. It's all about trying to stop your boat from flooding or being pushed sort of backwards.
We're currently working on the paddle gear, which controls flow of water into and out of the lock. And once that is complete and the other minor works are finished, we hope to open up the channel to let water back through and take out the remaining earth barriers which have protected the site throughout the construction phase. Towards the end of the year, we hope to have water flowing through, and the next stage will be to acquire money for dredging. The canal either end of the lock chamber needs to be dredged so that we can get boat access into the lock.
So what else has been happening here then? Let's pop to the spillway channel over on the side here and have a look what's going on. And look at this. This is the spillway around the side, and you can see now it's faced with this stone. It's looking much better than it was. When I came here last time, it was a concrete block channel, and I wasn't sure at the time whether they were going to cover it over for safety, because it's not an exposed channel as a full risk, or whether it's going to be sort of made to look a lot better, which they're doing now. So the WRG groups are here this week doing this. You can see them working just ahead of me down there. Now a lot of this bit here has been done by volunteers, and the WRG groups are carrying on. Now they've had a bit of a problem here because, as you know, we've had probably the driest summer on record. It's been absolutely ridiculously dry. We've had no rain, the whole network is drying up all across the country. And they come down to do this, and we get absolute torrential rain for a few days. And it's raining in the mornings and at night and stuff, and they're coming down here, and there's just so much water coming down here that they are struggling to work. Now this was supposed to be dry and empty. That was the plan when they decided on this camp, but unfortunately it's not the case.
My name's Emma, and I'm here with the Waterway Recovery Group helping on the Swansea Canal. There's a group of 10 of us here, and we're restoring the bywash, so the lock that's just been recently uncovered. Due to the recent rain, it's proven slightly tricky. So on the site visit, this bywash was much drier. So we've had challenges of keeping our feet dry and the mortar dry. Why do I come along here? It's a surprisingly fun way to spend my time. There's a bit of like you're contributing to something that's going to live hopefully longer than me and restoring some heritage. There's a lot of banter amongst people, and you get to know people all over the country, visit places all over the country that I'd never have gone to, and amuse friends that have no idea why you'd want to do this with anecdotes. So yeah, no, it's good bunch of people and good fun.
So it's not just all about this lock here. The Swansea Canal Society are doing amazing work on this canal, and there's work going on loads of different spots all the way through, with a plan to eventually link back up into Swansea, and then they can eventually join on to the Neath and Tennant canals, which are being restored kind of on the other side of the river. So just down here, there's another lock. It's Lower Clydach lock, just down through this pound here, and there's some good news coming from there as well. So you may remember this lock from the horse sculpture behind me. That's made out of lots of horseshoes, and it's pretty cool, to be fair. So this lock is also known as the Mond lock, and it's recently been funded by the UK government as part of the Shared Prosperity Fund, and the money's actually issued to Swansea Council, who have then passed it over. So this is the next lock to be restored. It's in pretty good condition, I'd say. There's obviously some missing stone out of it, as well as a lot of the joints look like they are starting to go. I'm not sure if that just needs a bit of pointing, or if they're going to have to dismantle part of the lock to redo that. The water levels are obviously quite a lot lower, because you can actually see in there now, I didn't see this before, just there you can see like a bit of rusty metal. That looks like it's part of the old gate. There's some wood attached to the bottom bit of it. It does look like it's in pretty good nick though, to be fair. So what they want to be able to do here is to eventually run a boat from the visitor centre we're walking to back up through to the hidden lock at the top. The boat trip will bring money in for the trust and bring more people to the canal and kind of raise its profile by quite a bit. The canal is then going to take a diversion from the old course, because it's built on, and go across the land here. And that's going to go across an aqueduct over that river, and eventually move on down and join the river further down where it's navigable. That then takes you down into sort of Swansea Bay, and you can eventually join onto the Neath and Tennant canals then from the docks down there. Last time I was here, they were putting telegraph poles into here along that little wharf wall there, and I wasn't too sure of the reason for it. I wasn't sure if they were doing it so they could fix the wall behind it, or if it was actually for something else. But now if you look, they've cut down through the bank there and put some steps in. So I'm actually guessing that that's been put in as a lower bank, because this isn't going to be a part of the canal eventually. So you don't need a wharf up here anymore. They have this new boat area up here with a slipway and everything, which was built quite recently with the money from Swansea Council beforehand. So that's it for the week camps for the Waterway Recovery Groups. This was actually an extra one added on. And it's been a great year. They've done loads. So you've seen me following them around this summer. They've obviously been to the Lichfield and the Cotswolds, which you've seen videos on now here. They've also been on to the Neath and Tennant Canal last week. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I had CRT filming to do. And they've also been to the River Parrett in Somerset as well. So it's been a good summer of works. There are now weekend work parties that go on. There's a few more coming up. Anyway, please support them. Please support the Swansea Canal Society, and have a great day.